Stop me if you've heard this one. So then the waitress asked me, how do you like your eggs? And I said, in a cake. I have removed all of the unhealthy and fattening foods from the pantry. They were delicious. My favorite machine at the gym is the one where you put coins in a slot and a snack comes out. Why, yes, I'm into fitness. Fitness whole pizza into my mouth. Yes, I'm in shape. Round is a shape. Thanks, everyone. You've been a great audience. I'm here all week. Or at least for the next 19 minutes. This is a comment and my response that I recorded months ago when I was preparing episode 15, but in order to keep my episodes to 20 minutes, I ran out of room for it, and so I decided to save it for an episode of its own, and that episode has finally arrived. Here we go. Walter had a comment after episode 12, and that was one of the episodes where I did talk about my struggles with losing weight. He said this: here is a new challenge for you. I will put up $300 if you nail in 2020 315 pounds on bench for 1 rep, 315 deadlift, and 315 squat, all 1 rep. Forget the scale, forget that nonsense. My goal of getting my weight down to 200 pounds is just something I want to do. I really want to do it. In 2012, when my weight dropped from 250 pounds to 211 pounds in the course of about 8 months, it felt so good. In 2010, I had the opportunity to be in a television commercial. It involved, or it was promoting a local sleep center for people who were having sleep difficulties, apnea and other problems. And it involved my laying on a mattress, tossing and turning. I never had a chance to see that commercial. I never saw the finished product. I never saw the footage. In 2012, that fact hit me. I went, I've never seen that commercial. This was just random. This was out of nowhere. This was not related to my health and fitness. It's just one day I went, I've never seen that commercial. I'd like to take a look. And so I went to the company's website and I was browsing through. They have done a lot of commercials, and I was scrolling and they had little thumbnail images about what each commercial was about, and I was scrolling and I passed one really quickly that looked like a guy laying on a mattress. And I looked at the thumbnail and I went, well, that's not me. And I kept going. And then I scrolled back and I went, that is me. And I clicked on it and I saw for the first time a commercial I had made 2 years prior when I weighed about 260 to 270 pounds. And I was shocked.
More than 70 million Americans suffer from sleep disorders that can lead to high blood pressure, diabetes, strokes, and heart attacks. What's your sleep trying to tell you? The High Desert Sleep Center. Sleep better, live better.
Just the way that laying on that pillow, the fat around my face was all pooling up. I had no idea that I was carrying that much fat under my chin, around my jowls, up into my cheeks. It was stunning. I grabbed my camera, my still camera, and my wife, and I said, here, take a picture. And I laid down on my bed and put my head on the pillow, and I had her stand over me. I took that picture to my computer, and I blew it up, and I was speechless. The visible difference in losing over 40 pounds, and so much of it being fat that I was carrying up here in my chin and around my neck. That's why I do want to get down to 200 pounds one more time. I do just once want to burn off all this excess that's been hanging on. and I want to see a number below 200 on that scale. One day. One. Having said all of that, now I want to take a look at the whole concept of losing weight and hopefully do it in a way that is informational for you and not just me spouting off about my own weight loss journey. And the first thing we need to do is understand what we should mean when we say that. We have to remember the whole concept of body composition. And I've talked about that before in an earlier video, but just briefly, human beings are made up of multiple substances. There's muscle and there's fat, but there's also bone and fluids and organs. And all of that contributes to your weight. What you should really mean, I'll put it this way. What I mean is that I want to lose fat. I want to retain the muscle. I want to add muscle. But I want to lose the fat so that the muscle shows up more and so that there is not fat impeding my movements, my cardiovascular health. I want to get as much fat as is possible and healthy out of the way. And so when I say I want to lose weight as one of my main goals, it is deliberately tied in with goal number 2, which is I want to get my body fat down below 10%. Those two really have to go together. You could lose weight by chopping off a limb.
Ready? Ready? Go!
Now, on a more realistic level, it is still possible to lose weight and not lose fat, which is not a good idea if you're trying to get strong and look sexy, because that means your body is probably eating its own muscle tissue, which it can do. It can burn muscle tissue in order to fuel the necessary bodily functions. And that's not something I want, and I don't think it's something you want either. If you're overweight, I hope in your head, anytime you say, I want to lose weight, I hope in your head you'll remind yourself that means I want to lose fat. Because of this vagueness in exactly what you mean when you say I want to lose weight, a lot of personal trainers and bodybuilders and other people into muscle growth will often tell you, don't worry about the scale, forget the scale. And I understand where they're coming from. The scale is one tool and it really only tells you one fact. How much is gravity pulling you down onto that scale when you step on it? Another reason to kind of put the scale in the background of your thinking is because of the concept that is sometimes expressed this way. Muscle weighs more than fat. When I first heard that phrase, I was a little bit confused about exactly what it meant because, as far as I knew, a pound of muscle and a pound of fat would both weigh a pound. What really is meant by that phrase is that muscle is more dense than fat, so that if you had 2 containers of equivalent sizes and you were to fill one of them with fat and the other one with muscle and level them off so they really contained the same amount, they filled up the containers to the same level, the one containing the muscle would be heavier. This is a very handy image I found for quickly seeing exactly what I'm talking about here. That is a replica of 5 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of muscle. And notice just how much more space the fat takes up. 5 pounds of fat on your body is far more noticeable than 5 pounds of muscle. And thus it is entirely possible to have 2 different people both weighing about the same, looking entirely different, and in fact the one who is more muscular actually looking a little bit smaller. The person who is walking around with 225 pounds and a significant percentage of that is body fat will actually take up more space on this planet. And here's where we need to pause for a tangent and probably a rant about the subject of the body mass index, or BMI. Someone somewhere, probably in an attempt to guide public health, created this chart called the BMI, where your height and your weight, and I think your age, are calculated to reflect what the ideal healthy condition would be. So it has you at healthy, and then it also indicates whether you're overweight and obese. But it does that in a very simple way. And again, it does it just with height and weight. So that a person who is 6'2" like me, weighing 225, would register on the BMI as being overweight, leaning toward unhealthy. The problem is that it does not take into account what we've just talked about, that muscle weighs more than fat. What it really is scaled for is the person who wants to look like a swimmer or a runner, who wants to be lean, isn't worried about muscle size, and that's really all it calculates. The big problem is that because it's easy, it's easier than measuring body fat. It's easier than finding a trainer who's skilled with calipers. It's a whole lot easier than hunting down a dunk tank and paying money for that. All kinds of different institutions have used that to register whether or not the people they're working with are healthy. Back when I interviewed Parker Agee for an earlier episode, he said he was having trouble earlier on. He was having trouble getting into the Air Force because they were using the BMI. I saw a healthy young man, but on the BMI, he was too heavy. Bodybuilders pack on a lot of muscle. And so that a guy who is just as tall as me, but actually weighing 20 to 30 pounds more, can actually be in a healthier and stronger condition. But if for example, a health insurance company is just looking at his BMI, all they see is a really heavy guy. And I know that that is a real life incident because Bill Haynes, the owner of Fusion Fitness down in Bend, who has also been kind of a mentor and off and on trainer for me, had to get his health insurance renewed. And on the BMI, he was obese. And so he actually had to lose weight. He had to trim down his muscles in order to register as healthy on the BMI, in order to get the health insurance renewed. So it's out of ignorance or even laziness, various institutions have used the BMI, they've incorporated the BMI to evaluate the health of the people they're working with. And that is as oversimplification of such an issue as stepping on the scale is. The BMI does not calculate muscle weight versus fat weight. It just doesn't cut it. So how does a person lose fat instead of muscle? That, I'm discovering, has a simple answer and a far more complicated one. For this episode, since this really isn't about nutrition per se, I will keep it simple. You burn off fat by eating fewer calories and growing more muscle, working out the muscle. Muscle tissue, in order for muscle tissue to work, in order for it to contract and do what it does in your body, it burns calories, just like a car burns gasoline. And so, a small car uses less gasoline. A large van or truck is going to use more gasoline. And so one of the ways that many people I've talked with have advocated and encouraged me to do, especially back when I was just getting started in 2010, 2011, was they said, stop worrying about just trying to burn off the fat, about, just eating less and eating less and eating lean and eating lean. That works, but it's hard to do. They advised, and it took me a long time to finally decide to do it this way, but they advised working out. Go work out more, work out more. Say that 10 times fast. Pack on more muscle fibers. Get your body to grow more muscle fibers, because what you're doing is basically expanding the size of your car. The engine that is burning up. You've got more muscle tissue now, so that every time you do move a limb, that's more muscle tissue saying, I need fuel over here to function. That's more muscle cells crying out for energy. And so you're burning more fat just by adding muscle. It will seem counterproductive if all you do to measure your progress is step on a scale, because if you're adding muscle, your weight will go up. But then eventually you will start seeing a good return on that as the greater amount of muscle starts to burn more fat because it needs more fuel. I will take some time to talk about what I do, and I will try to present some pros and cons for other people as well. Just because I do it this way doesn't mean it's the best way to do it for you, but let's go ahead and discuss that. First of all, I do try to weigh in daily, and most people will say don't do that. If you're just getting started, especially, weighing in daily can be very discouraging for a couple of reasons. One of which is that weight loss takes time. If your goal is to lose weight and you step on that scale on January 1st and you write down the starting number, and on January 2nd you drop some, okay, great. But then on January 3rd you actually bounce up a little bit and you go, oh, now I got to wait until the 4th to see it go down again. And maybe on the 4th it doesn't drop as much as you want. And you get this bouncing wavy line, if you were to chart it out, that just feels like it isn't going anywhere, or at least isn't going anywhere fast. And that it has actually caused so many people to just give up on weight loss. And so most people say don't weigh in daily. I have a brain that wants to know. I want it on my journal. What did I weigh today? I'm actually more discouraged not weighing in. I'm more discouraged by having a blank on my workout journal than I am stepping on the scale and seeing it weigh more than what it did yesterday. So I'm a slightly different case, apparently, from most people. The other reason for not weighing in daily is because even if you are really doing it right, you are sticking the diet every day, you are sticking the workout every day, your body just fluctuates. There could be a day where, for reasons unknown, it just decides that it's going to hold on to more water. The next day it can drop 2 pounds out of nowhere. And then the next day it can gain 1.5 pounds. And so it just wild mood swings. The new person stepping on the scale day after day looks at his week and goes, I'm all over the map. What's with this weight loss thing? So again, the common advice is don't step on the scale every day. The advice I do follow is to step on the scale in the morning after going to the bathroom. That is when you are going to weigh the least. So that's the best time to weigh in to get a really fair assessment. And then third, just because I'm picky this way, I do try to weigh in completely naked. There really isn't a lot of difference between weighing in with your underwear on and not. That amount of fabric does not change the weight all that much. That's the way I am. And there are days where I just don't feel like stripping down completely. And I've weighed in with underwear on, underwear and socks, whatever. Is this too much information? Anyway, that's, as long as it's minimal clothing, I'll still put it in my journal. My scale of choice is the Healthometer 1000. You can get it at Walmart for about $20 to $25. My wife actually got me my first one as an anniversary present. This is, I think, the third one because, well, what do you expect for $20? I've had to go out and buy some replacements over time. But it is a decent bathroom scale, and it gives you your weight to 0.2 pounds. It does sometimes give different weights, meaning I'll step on the scale, I'll get a number, I'll step off it, and then I'll step on it again immediately and get another weight. So the number that I enter in my journal is the number that I can get twice in a row on this scale. Given the unknown amount of imprecision in my home scale, some people have asked me, why don't I just use the more medical grade scale in the gym, the more professional scale? Well, the problem there is that the scale is out where the entire weight room can see it. I don't think management would approve. As I record this, it is 3 a.m. on August 3rd, and I weigh about 227, 228 pounds. That gives me about 150 days to get rid of that, and that is entirely doable if I just focus and do it. And so I'm still on that goal. I'm still looking to weigh less than 200.0 by the end of 2020. And I think I'm probably out of time. You have probably seen a lot of white flashes in this episode where I've taken out things that I just don't have time to say, and I've decided that they are not priority. Thank you for joining me as I explore my weight, the concept of weight loss here on A Body in Progress. I'll see you next time. Yes, thank you. Okay, I'll put that in the end credits.